My name is Bunmi Agusto, and I am an amateur fine artist. Well, my art is actually quite spontaneous, and usually what inspires my art is just conversations I have with people. It's really weird because when I'm talking to someone, I'll look at their faces and I'm like, wow, purple looks so nice on your face if I should paint you. And then I just completely blank out. So yeah, that inspires me, I guess. And in lots of literature as well. For example, Hell is Other People, one of my pieces, is inspired by No Exits. And Emotional Colonization is inspired by Gabriel Kara's poem, Once Upon a Time. My cousin Maria Aderinoko is an artist, so she's the one who taught me how to draw, and she's a portrait artist, so obviously I followed her in that direction. But it's really funny now because now we have different styles completely, but she's the one who introduced me to portraiture. But then nowadays, my main influences are Caravaggio and Titus Kaphar. And Caravaggio because of that dramatic facial expression, which is kind of like my staple mark now, I guess. And Titus Kaphar because of his manipulation of fabric, which I haven't completely explored yet, but that's my next body of work, really. Everything is accidental and spontaneous when it comes to my art, because I just really started using chalk pastel in year 11, and for my final piece I suddenly used pastel really well, and everyone was like, okay, boom, this is your new thing. I was like, okay, yeah. I guess it's my new thing. So it happened by accident. So really, once I started school in England, I just explored that more and took that to the next level, like using oil paints, which I had never used before I came to England, and that didn't turn out badly, thank God. So yeah, everything's spontaneous and accidental. Oh, this is definitely a long one because I attended primary school in Abuja for 3 years, I think. And I went to a very weird school, so they didn't teach art as a subject, but we had fine arts exams. So every year, the same teacher in the same outfit would come in with the same pink chalk and draw the same verse on the board and say, you should copy it on your line paper. Don't add anything, just copy it. That's the exam, to be a forger, really. So I would copy, then I add my designs, and then of course I always failed because you're not allowed to add your own designs. So I was definitely put in that box from the beginning, and I was always notorious for getting out of that box. And when I got to the Waterman, it was more liberal, but then my teachers still looked at me as if I was crazy sometimes because they're working on me cutting up my pieces and cutting and pasting them. I'm like, for me, that's not how we do things here. And actually, my breakout piece, Cover Up, that was for my IGCSE final piece. And it features me behind the Queen Idia Benin mask. And that's because in the Waterman, they always told me, draw the Nigerian market scenes, draw the traditional women, make it more Nigerian so you can shock the British examiners. But I felt trapped in that culture, which is why I drew myself. It was kind of like a jab at my teachers, my final piece. So I drew myself trapped within the culture, just to annoy them, really. But they liked it. So.
Current education.
Current. Oof. Oh yeah, 7 Oaks, very, very liberal. The funny thing is that in Nigeria, everyone says my art is not African enough, but then in 7 Oaks, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's so African, it's so nice, so colorful, which I really like because I don't like being put in that box of you have to make your work very African, because what does African art really mean? So yeah. I mean, I'm an African artist. I think that should be enough to make my work African. So, well, Nigerian actually, but yeah, 7 Oaks really nurtured that experimental side of me and let me go out of my comfort zone a bit. So that's for weird things to paint on, like crates and tires. So yeah. Well, currently my last body of work was based on my culture shock and my cultural identity coming from a school in Nigeria to a school in England and mixing in such an international environment. because I would realize that I identified more with some people maybe from Hong Kong than I would with some Nigerians. So just kind of exploring those cultural paradigms and like my social observations really. So that's really what I explored. But in the future, I want to explore more about my cultural history. But I don't want to give away too much. Okay, fine. I'll give you the inside gist. My dad is Yoruba and a Muslim. My mom is Benin and a Christian. And then my great-great-grandfather was taken to Brazil as a slave. So I have like a broad sense of cultural identity. So it's kind of this melting pot. So, and also apparently I don't look very Nigerian. So that kind of, again, those observations and looking at the slave trade and then looking at was like coming from a mixed family, because I have 4 siblings and everyone identifies differently in their careers, in their religion, everything. So it's just about, my next body of work is going to explore this because my roots are very complex. So my work will hopefully be as complex next time. Currently, shockingly, it's not role models, which is the one with Ankara. It's actually city culture. It's just so far outside my comfort zone because I really dislike working with 3D. So I tried to do Bunmi's interpretation of a 3D piece. So I chose to work with materials I knew I could work with. So I got a crate. I got fabric. And my sister is a fashion designer, so I've seen her pin clothes and I was like, okay, yeah, I can do something with this. So I spray painted the crates, and I particularly love how the gold is, the way the light catches the gold on the crates. That's probably my favorite aspect of it. And then if you look closely, I got the special fabric where you can print pictures onto fabric, and then I painted on top of that and added more fabric, and it's just there's so many layers to it, and it makes me so happy because I didn't expect it to be that successful. Well, I'm about to finish my IB, so hopefully if I do that well, I'll be going to Central St. Martin's this fall, and I'll be pursuing my fine arts degree. So with that, I probably want to venture outside just fine arts, maybe film as well, and possibly jewelry design, because I've ventured into that in the past. So basically, I'm just going to spread myself around in the future.